Hello everyone, welcome to the channel of Political Science Tutorials. In this video, we will try to understand what the comparative politics is about, its meaning, stages of growth, nature and scope, and its characteristics. The topic is equally important for undergraduate level students as well as postgraduate level students and who are preparing for any competitive exams related with the field of political science. If you not yet subscribed the channel, please press the subscribe button and press the bell icon for the notification of next videos. There are many subfields of political science like political economy, international relations, political theory, public administration, public policy, political methodology, etc. And comparative politics is also a subfield of political science and it is an important subfield of political science. Now we will try to understand the meaning of political science. The first term is comparative. What it means? We all know it means to compare and qualify anything like good, bad, small, big, and also it has degrees like good, better, best, etc. So it is clear that it is a discussion of systems or institutions or rules by comparing with each other. Second term is politics, a widely used term, but it need an explanation what the term politics denotes. In comparative politics, politics denotes three things: political activity, political process and political power. Now let us try to understand what the term politics denotes. It mainly denotes an activity which is continuous, timeless, ever changing and universal. So the politics denotes those activities which are not restricted by time, space, people, etc. As we have already mentioned that politics is an activity, now the question is what activity it denotes? It denotes the activity of decision making. In comparative politics, the term politics indicates three things: political activity, political process and political power. Now we will try to understand what these terms denote. First term, political activity. Already it has been mentioned that political activity is related with decision making. If we analyze human nature, it can be said that struggle for power is a common or basic feature of human nature. From a family to international level, in suppressed or naked power struggle can be located. And for this reason, tension or conflict is a common phenomenon. To reduce this tension, there are some established or permanent mechanisms, and sometimes reason mechanisms are designed to reduce the tension and conflict. And through these mechanisms, the efforts and measures which are taken in this regard constitutes political activity. The resolution of conflicts may be by peaceful means or persuasion or adjustments or by diplomacy or by violent means. Now the second term is political process. Political process includes non-state agencies, which is an extension of political activity. These non-state associations influence the government of the country for the sake of protecting and promoting their specific interests. As politics is the authoritative allocation of values according to Easton, so when the allocation of values happened, then it is a chance of conflict. The way or in which manner the government should allocate values are influenced by non-state agencies, and for this reason in the study of comparative politics, non-state agencies are important. third term is political power. The scholars of comparative politics think that it cannot be studied properly without identifying the ruling class or the governing and non-governing elites and measuring their respective roles. Authority of democratic regime always try to justify power by means of having the title of consensus, but force or coercion is working. So, the scholars of comparative politics freed politics from normative or philosophical terms and they expressed it in empirical terms. Now, we will try to understand the comparative politics as a subject, its journey or stages of growth. One thing should be noted that though comparative politics is an international enterprise, it took shape as a sub-discipline in US or United States of America in late 19th century. Though scholars of Europe contributed with their writings, but the research were mainly carried out in US. It has been discussed in detail in another video, the growth of political science as a discipline. Now, coming to the main point, formally, political science as a new science of politics was established by a declaration of Chicago professor Charles Merriam in the year 1921. Before this declaration or the study of first generation scholars like Burgess studied political science by historical comparative method, and in those days it was called comparative government. In fact, from the time of Aristotle, then in medieval age Machiavelli, then Montesquieu, Tocqueville, Mill, these thinkers all studied politics by comparative method. Though the term comparative government and comparative politics loosely used, these are different in their scope of study. Comparative government deals with special emphasis on institutions and functions of different political system, but scope of comparative politics is wider. Though formal institutions are also in the scope of comparative politics, but it emphasized on non-state actors seriously. It stressed on the extra constitutional agencies like political parties, pressure groups, etc., and also take into account the phenomena which considered fall within the range of economics, sociology, psychology and anthropology to analyze the political system as a whole. One point it is very important about comparative politics, and that is it is an empirical political science. The first generation or before 1920, the scholars stressed on historical comparative method. But after the formation of Social Science Research Council in 1923, the methods of study of political science step into a new field, that is analytical and empirical analysis. It was further expanded by creating a committee of political behavior in 1945. In 1954, Social Science Research Council's Committee on Comparative Politics was formed, chaired by Gabriel Almond. In the growth of comparative politics, three generations are involved. First, behavioralist from 1920 to 1966. Second, post-behavioralists 1966 to 1989. And third, or second scientific revolution, which is considered from 1989 to today. Many scholars have contributed in the field from its inception in 1920s to present day. In last slides, it has been mentioned some scholars and their notable writings, but there is a long list to add. Now we will try to understand what were the main areas of focus of this three generation of scholars. Behavioralists. This revolution started to refute the theories that confined study of political science in formal institutions of political system. Rather, they included the extra constitutional phenomena and institutions like interest groups, political parties, mass communication, political culture, political socialization, which affects the functioning of political systems. They were strongly influenced by sociology, psychology, anthropology, and they used structural functionalism as a meta theory. Behavioralists introduced statistical research, cross-national statistical analysis, survey-based study, and quantitative research. But in 1960s, precisely after 1966, the revolution started as post-behavioral revolution. In this stage, scholars in the US began reconnecting with classical social theory and collaborating with European scholars. The new literature was both by members of established generation of behavioral revolution as well as the new generation who were entering into the field. The scholars of this stage added the features like state society relation, formal political institutions, which were rejected by the previous generation of behavioral revolution. In this generation, there was no meta theory like structural functionalism, but they stressed on evolutionism, functionalism based on historical sociology, Marxism, Western Marxism, Latin American dependency, etc. Third generation of comparative politics, or the scholars who were involved in this field after the fall of communist system, is called the generation of second scientific revolution. This generation added for the analysis in comparative politics, rational choice theory, game theory, rational choice institutionalism, historical institutionalism. As their predecessors of behavioralists and post-behavioralists, they preferred statistical analysis, but they stressed on more comparative analysis and rigorous testing. They preferred to analyze political phenomena with the help of rational choice theory, where actions based on rational choice, and they stressed on institutions which play the important role in a political system. Our third point is nature and scope of comparative politics. The scholars of comparative politics stressed on comparative study of institutions as well as political experiences and behavior of major systems of governments, and it is in their scope of comparative politics. Second point is behavioralists, or the scholars of 1920s from 1920s to 1960s neglected formal government structures, but from mid 1960s these are included in the scope of comparative politics along with extra constitutional agencies like party, pressure group, etc., who has the power to affect the decisions of government. The next point was their focus on comparative study of political behavior of different countries in rigorous manner, whether it has regularities or similarities or differences. In fourth point, it can be noted that the scholars of comparative politics studied different types of political systems in comparative manner and tend to define these systems and try to build a scientific theory of politics. In brief, we can say that the scope of comparative politics includes all structures, formal or informal, governmental and extra-governmental. Also undertake similarities and dissimilarities between various political process and functions. It includes also political culture, political socialization, political development, political modernization, etc. So, the study of comparative politics is based on empirical approach of comparative method. To be specific, here two definitions of two scholars have been mentioned. Many scholars frame their own definition, but the statement of Peter Mayer and Richard Rose's definition has been taken to understand the nature and scope of comparative politics briefly. Peter Mayer stated that comparative politics is elaborated by a combination of a substantive focus on the study of countries, political systems, and a method of recognizing and explaining similarities and differences between these countries using common models. According to Richard Rose, in comparative politics, the focus is explicitly or implicitly upon more than one country, thus following familiar political science usage in excluding within nation comparison. Methodologically, comparison is distinguished by its use of concepts that are applicable in more than one country. With the changing global political scenario, comparative politics included the multiple dimension to understand the politics as a whole. Recent work of scholars including topics like partisan, ethnic, national and class identities, and this importantly inculcate in individuals by parties, states and other political actors. Here some questions are mentioned to understand more clearly what the scholars of comparative politics try to answer. The questions are like, why do authoritarian states democratize? What accounts for the dynamics and ideologies of the nation state? Under what conditions do civil war erupt? Why is political representation channeled through political parties in contemporary democracies? Why do some parties run on policy program and others on patronage? Can citizens use elections and courts to hold government accountable? From these questions, it is quite clear that what the scholars of comparative politics try to understand, and their effort is by these studies building of scientific theories. So, it is clear that the journey of comparative politics, which started by behavioralists in 1920s through post-behavioral revolution after 1966 to 1989, it continued its journey in second scientific revolution, which is still ongoing. The last point of our discussion is its main characteristics of comparative politics. From the previous discussions, we can identify its main characteristics. First, analytical and empirical investigation. Second, study of the infrastructure of a political system of any type. Third, emphasis on the study of the developing as well as developed societies. Fourth, focus on interdisciplinary approach. Fifth, it is a value-free political theory. They freed themselves from normative and philosophical standpoint of politics. Sixth point is their objective was to build theory on scientific basis or by collecting and analyzing data. To summarize the discussion about the comparative politics as a subject, we can say that study of comparative politics is about the political institutions from constitutions to executives to parliament to parties to electoral laws and the processes and relationships that account for consistency and change in political economy, culture, conflict, government, rights and public policy. It includes in its scope systematic study and comparison of world's political systems. It is also notable that this discipline is mainly interested in discovering patterns, processes and regularities among political systems. It looks for trends for changes in patterns and it tries to develop general hypotheses that define these trends. In last 3 slides, I have mentioned notable books in the field of comparative politics, and there is a long list to add, but here is mentioned of name of some books. Hope from this discussion it is clear that what comparative politics is about. Please share your views in comment box. Wish you all the best.